So we're going to go ahead and open up the Notability app. And when you open up Notability, this is really your home screen. So on the left-hand side, we have what are called subjects, dividers, and notes. On the right-hand side, we have all of the different notes that are within those different subject areas. So what are subjects, what are notes, what are dividers? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So one of the first things you want to be thinking about is how you're going to organize your notes. And if we come up over to the top left-hand side of the screen, the third icon on the toolbar is a plus sign. So we're going to go ahead and tap that. And it's going to ask us, do you want to create a subject or do you want to create a divider? Now, a divider is what is going to group different subjects together, and within the subject area, you are going to be able to have as many notes as you want. So let's go ahead and say, let's create a divider that's called orientation. And let's say within orientation, there are multiple different areas that we took a look at. So maybe one of the first subjects that I'm going to create is going to be learning styles, because that's one of the first things that we sort of took a look at. And maybe I want to keep some notes just on learning styles. Maybe I'm going to add another subject area within there that's going to be called using digital tools. And so now you can see within orientation, I have two subjects. So if I go ahead and I tap that little arrow on the left-hand side, it will actually pull down and tell me what those different subject areas are. And so let's go ahead and go into learning styles. And if we come up over now to the top right-hand side of the screen, I see a little paper with a pencil on it. I'm going to go ahead and tap that, and it's going to create a new note for me. Now, one of the nice things about Notability is that my annotation tools are very simple, yet there can be a lot that we can do with them. So I'm going to go through what these different tools are, starting with the little T for text. So if I go ahead and I tap the T for text, you notice it basically allows me to type directly into my note. So you can see I've got some font options here, some size options. One of the things that I like about Notability also is if I go ahead and I look over to where I have the A, B, and C with the hearts, if I hold one down, it allows me to go ahead and select a font favorite. So let's go ahead and make this maybe a bold text. Maybe let's make this like a title one. So this is going to be font size 20, and the color is going to be this purple. Now let's go ahead and come over to B, and let's go ahead and make this font size 14, and maybe I'm going to make this maybe the lighter purple. And now my text settings have it being saved for me. So if I go ahead and I just begin by tapping A, automatically it will create a heading for me. And let's say I'm coming down to the next one and I tap B. This is where I can add some details. So that's one of the nice ways in which you can kind of simplify some of your text settings. I also over on the right have some bullet points that I can add in. So maybe under here, I want to go ahead and maybe I'm just going to do a bulleted list, and maybe I want to change this color to a green, and now I can start typing in points in those areas. So that really there is sort of just a quick look at the text tool. The next tool we're going to take a look at is the second one, which is the pen tool. Anytime I'd like to change the format of the tool that I'm working with, I can go ahead and hold it down. So in this case, I'm going to hold down the pencil, and okay, you can see that I now have some different color options. I'm going to go ahead and select this orange color, and I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. That's too thick. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker, and now I am ready to go ahead and start writing directly into my notes. So over here you can see, we can do little icons and we can do things of that nature. The next icon that you have over here is the highlighter tool. So again, hold it down, get some options. You'll notice the opacity has automatically kicked in because this is the highlighter tool. I'm going to go ahead and select the yellow for this one, and you can see I can go ahead and I can highlight different areas. I can even come over here and just color things in and things of that nature. So that's the, text, the pen, and the highlighter, probably some of the main ones you'll be using while you're annotating. Now let's say I want to go back and delete something. The fourth one over here is the eraser, and if I tap the eraser, I can go ahead and I can erase things that are there. I can just, sort of tap and erase, tap and erase, tap and erase. One of my favorite features for Notability, and this is sort of why I opted for Notability over some of the other annotation tools, is the scissor icon. A lot of times when we're doing annotations, maybe we're not always happy with the placement of them in that moment, and so when I use this little scissor icon, I can actually just circle around and I can move, resize, and sort of edit my annotation and move it to wherever I'd like it to go. So that's sort of a quick look at some of the annotation tools. that you have available to you in Notability. One of the other nice features you have available to you also is the microphone. So if you actually tap the microphone, Notability can record audio and link it to your notes. So sort of like a screencast where it's going to replay the audio and also replay your notes while you were writing them along. So you can see there's a timer running up at the top, but if I go ahead and I take my pencil, I can go ahead and I can start annotating, I can start marking different ideas, I can go ahead and, highlight points. And if I pause my recording and I come down, we didn't talk in the beginning, so I'm going to scroll through just a little bit. But if I go ahead and I hit play, you can sort of see what happens. And so one of the things that you can kind of see happening is watch as my recording is going, my annotations are coming as well. And for me, that really, I think is an incredible feature. So it'll be up to you to see how you use it and if this is something that you like. But I love the idea that my notes are coming as the item is being recorded, so that if I'm watching it back, I can kind of understand my thought process and why I was writing things as those words were being said. A couple other features you have available to you in Notability over at the top right. If we tap the plus sign, you can see that you can add a photo into Evernote, so we can choose ones that are already in our camera roll. So remember, we had our notes that we were looking at. We can go ahead and we can add these in. I can add a caption to over here, and I can now resize it, I can move it, I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller, but I can place it wherever I like. If I tap the plus again, I can also take a photo directly in Evernote. So I can go over here and, let's just take a picture of my keyboard over here. So I can take a picture of my keyboard, I can say, yes, I'd like to use that photo, and there it is again, it's directly brought it into my app. So if I tap the plus again, there's a few other things I can do. I can also create a figure. So this is where it's going to bring me to a completely new screen. And again, I have some options over here. I can, add some text if I want. I could also, come back over here and I can just do the little scribble icon. I can add some shapes over here. I can fill these, shapes with different colors as well. I can go ahead and select how thick I maybe want my pencil to be or how thick I want my shape to be. If I come back over to, my pen tool over here, you can see that it's made my line a bit thinner. And the last one is really to crop the screen that I'm on. So let's say maybe all I wanted to do was get this little orange box. So let's go ahead and get rid of everything else. I can select done, and there my orange box is now on my screen. So I can actually bring in other figures from a blank screen in Notability as well, which can be very, very useful. Notability is the ability to add in a web clip. And let's just say for purposes of this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and pull an article from Norris Medical Library. So let's say here we are, and maybe this particular unit that I'm studying really requires me to have access to this textbook. So here I am on this textbook's webpage where I can easily access all the different text. I'm going to go ahead and now select Done. And you can see it's now going to pull in a copy of that web page into my browser. And so what I can do is I can just go move it wherever I need to. And as I'm referring to my notes, and maybe I'm going back, I'm reviewing, I can tap on it, I can tap browser, and it's going to go ahead and take me directly to that web page. And here we go. So it's a quick and easy shortcut to getting to different web links. We can do this for YouTube videos, we can do this for articles, we can really do this for anything and everything on the web. And again, if we go over up to the plus sign, the last thing we have over here are the stickies, which are kind of nice. So we can add in a blank sticky, we can add a sticky where we can draw, we can add a sticky with a grid on it, or we can add a sticky where we can directly type. So let's go ahead and just try a blank sticky. And you can see that I can go ahead, let's change the color and let's maybe go to the purple. Let's also make this a little bit smaller, and I can go ahead and I can use this to take notes and do anything else that I need to. I can resize my sticky, I can move it a little bit lower if I need to. You'll notice here I see a page break, so now I'm onto a new page. So let's say that maybe I wanted to add some more information before moving to a new page. If I come over to the very top right and I tap the little paper icon, it now gives me a thumbnail of my different pages. And if I tap page 1, let's say we wanted to add a page after page 1, I just simply tap page 1, tap the plus sign over here on the left, and it's going to ask me, do you want to add a page above or a page below? Let's say we want to go ahead and add a page below, and now I have a blank page here ready for me to be able to annotate on. The last thing I want to show you is this little wrench icon, which is the second one on the right hand side. And here I have the option to maybe change some of my settings. So let's say maybe I want to give my pages a nice background. I can do that. I can actually add lines onto my page as well, or I can just keep it completely blank. So whatever I want my page to look like is completely up to me. And now my paper is going to have this sort of background to it. Those are really the main settings available to you in Notability. Now, what do we do with our notes here? Because one of the downsides to Notability is that it's not really uniform across all of your devices. So unless you have the particular device on which you're using Notability with you at all times, it becomes a little bit difficult to search information quickly. So one of the things I always recommend is taking your notes in Notability and exporting them to Evernote. So how do we do that? Let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to come over to our top left and we're going to tap the little arrow icon, and you can see all the different places where I can send my notes to. For this particular tutorial, we're going to use Evernote, so we're going to go ahead and select share. We're going to do share again, and we're going to select Evernote. As always, I can change the title, so this is going to be my Notability example. I can choose the notebook I want it to go to. USC is the one I want it to go to, so we're already in the right place, and I'm going to select save. And there we go, it's automatically being saved. And just to do a double check, we're going to go ahead and come back to our home screen. We're going to select Evernote, and you can see there it is, my Notability example. As always, I can come into Evernote and I can begin adding information as I like. I can go ahead and add more images or audio. I can set a reminder for myself. Or if I like, I can go ahead and even tap on that PDF and maybe even add some further annotations using some of the tools that I have available to me in Evernote over here. So I can change the colors, I can see here are my different tools. When I save any annotations that I do, Evernote creates a summary for me of all of my different annotations, which is nice. When I'm done, I can X out and I am now done. Now, one of the other things that I want to show you in Notability is kind of taking you back to your home screen and just sort of looking at some of your different settings. One of the things you might notice is in Learning Styles, it now says the number 1 next to it because I now have a note over here in Learning Styles. But this wasn't really talking about Learning Styles, this was really talking more about digital tools. So let's say we want to go ahead and move the note. So I'm going to go ahead and hold down my note, and I'm just going to drag it to Digital Tools. And you will see now that the 1 now appears in Digital Tools, because if I tap on using Digital Tools, you will see that my note is now in that subject. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the settings. So perhaps let's say maybe I want to delete a subject or a divider. If I come up over to the top left, and again I select Edit, I can actually go ahead and you'll notice now setting icons will appear next to each of these different items. Let's go ahead and say that maybe I want to delete Tim1. So I'm going to go ahead and do select the setting, and now you'll see it says over here, not only can I edit the name here, but if I tap delete, it will say, are you sure you want to delete this divider? Yes, I want to delete this divider, and then close, and now it is no longer there. So I can actually do that for multiple things, and I can go ahead and I can delete them out. I can delete the subject as well. One of the things you'll notice is that if I hit delete subject, it says it will also delete all of the notes within it. So in this case, that's okay. I'm going to select delete, and there we are. I've gotten rid of those as well. Another thing I want you to sort of pay attention to is if I tap my settings, you'll notice one of the options is color. So I can actually go ahead and change the color of my dividers to whatever color it is that I like. When I'm done and I've sort of completed all of my settings, I can go ahead and select done, and there we have it. Now, the last area I'd like to draw your attention to are the main settings for Notability, and those we can find by coming over to the bottom left and tapping on the settings icon. There's a few things here that I want to draw your attention to, and one of the first things is the auto backup. One of the nice features about Notability is that if you were to lose your iPad, or if it was to get water damage or anything was to happen to it, if you have auto backup on, all of your notes that you create in Notability will automatically be backed up without you having to do anything at all to any area you select. Now, the one that I recommend to you is Google Drive, just because you have a Drive account associated with your USC email, so it would probably be a great place to do it. If I tap on it, it says your notes will now automatically back up to Google Drive, and if I like, I can go ahead and tap this little settings gear to do any more options. I can maybe, let's just say maybe I don't want to do all of my notes, maybe I just want to do one of my subjects or one area from my notebook. I can choose that as well, or I can go ahead and select them all. It's really up to me. I can choose how I want these notes saved. Do I want them saved as PDFs? Or do I want them saved as a PDF and a recording? Do I want it saved as in the Notability format, which is the note? And so those are just a few options that I have available to me. So I definitely, if you plan on using Notability, I definitely take some time to go ahead and set up your auto backup with the settings that you like. You can also manage your different accounts, log in, log out. You also can do the same thing with iCloud. One of the other things that you have is just sort of themes. Do you want colorful subjects? You can change sort of how it looks. You'll notice on the left it changed. Or do you want them to be sort of blocks of colors? Do you want the dark mode to be on? Do you want it to be light? What do you want your document settings to be like? Maybe you always want the default color paper to be the blue one that we took a look at. What do you want your typing settings to be like? What do you want your handwriting settings to be like? And so on and so forth. And so that's it, guys. That's sort of really just a quick look at Notability and how it can be used for annotating readings, lecture notes, or creating new notes from scratch. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, you can email me or you can come see me anytime. Thank you for watching.